Hello everybody, it's me, Dregobob. Welcome to yet another video on my channel. Today we'll be looking at Serverblight, a rather popular TF2 ARG / analog horror series that completely flew under my radar. As a TF2 fan since I was but a homunculus and the evil scientist who created me's lab, it's a crime if anything I haven't covered it yet. And with its most recent upload being a bit over 18 days ago, it's high time I rectify that mistake. But before we get into the video itself, I'd like to kindly ask if you could comment and even subscribe, since very few of you are. I'm trying to get to 10k or even just 8k before my birthday, so let's see if we can do just that. Also, to you looking for a community of your own, try my Discord server out. It's filled with artists, places to share your creations, and more. Now, with that out of the way, let's move on to the analysis itself. When I first discovered Serverblight, I was rather skeptical. In the past, I've covered TF2 horror media, and while amazing in their own right, I haven't seen anything yet with the quality Serverblight brings to the table. I'm just blown away, which is kind of funny, when lately I've only found myself looking at really high quality or super interesting stuff. Anyways, looking at Serverblight, I originally thought it to be your run-of-the-mill Entity type series. The same stale gameplay spliced with creepy footage that does the job, but doesn't scratch that itch horror creators and connoisseurs like myself have. But after watching the series through twice already, I myself felt fulfilled, and like I'd seen something new and fresh, and overall worthwhile. Now, before we look at the first video, I'd like to ask you to go and give the series a watch yourself. I firmly believe that while I can do a bang-up job with these videos, things of quality like this deserve to be experienced firsthand. With this short pause, you should have all the time you need to give it a look. Welcome back, if you even left us, that is. Did that ending get you? Those revelations near the end of the series certainly got me too. If you haven't noticed, we should also be using the official OST from the series itself. Now, with that out of the way, let's look at the first video in the series. The Empty Server. The description gives us a rather foreboding message. Careful what servers you find yourself in. You never know what you might find. The Empty Server does what I wish many other video game-based analog horror / digital horror series would do. It blends the game itself with animation, as we follow the main character, a player by the name of Dixalot, as they play some sniper on payload. We're treated to some classic TF2 banter as they make their way out to the front, only to see some odd happenings, to say the least. First, a spy with a grim look on their face flings himself into the kill box outside of the map before disconnecting. Then, a scout running to do the same stops after the sniper misses his first shot. Strangely enough, the scout stands there, even nodding his head before the second shot takes them out. Though they aren't disconnected from the game. Following a slight distortion in the music in the background, Sniper moves deeper into the map where he spies a dead heavy, where they soon complain about the server being idle. Though, oddly, they can't disconnect themselves. Moving on, Sniper eventually catches a glimpse of an engineer. One he quickly chases down, only to find they aren't moving like a regular player should. Just like the scout who displayed slightly more advanced movement, this engineer is able to move completely freely. If you noticed, this Engie is the same one telling Dick to KYS throughout the video. Even stranger, they say the only way out is to die by one's own hand. After snatching Dick's bushwhacker, he flees, followed soon after by Sniper, who's now being chased by what's likely the anomaly stopping him from leaving the server. Running past the engineer's body, we see text scrawled on the wall reading, "Don't let it take you alive." The now disarmed MC books it back to Blue Spawn, all while constantly being yelled at by a chorus of distorted voices. The glimpses we get of this thing are horrific to say the very least. Thankfully for the MC, however, they make it out of bounds and are disconnected before whatever this is can take him. With his game crashing, the video then comes to a close. Already we can tell this is unlike any other video game horror entity we've seen thus far on the channel. By the looks of it, this thing seems to be a bizarre mishmash of the players that were supposed to be in the server. Notably, however, the scout and engineer we see aren't disconnected when they die. By the looks of it, it seems the only surefire way of escaping is falling out of bounds. I won't make any heavier assumptions yet, as we still have 4 videos remaining. So let's move on to video 2. The empty server. Migration. Looking to the description, we see another message. Don't trust anything you see in Team Fortress 2. Some things only pretend to be players. This episode picks up just after the end of the last, with the MC disconnecting and a new player connecting to the server. An adorable free-to-play. We also noticed messages from Gillysuit, who we saw in the previous episode. It seems they didn't make it out. And we also find the free-to-play's name is Johnny Danny 12. They build a little sentry nest, though in time, Gillysuit begins spamming the same message over and over again in chat. We can also hear the sound of something smacking into the floor, wall, over and over again. And in due time, we discover the source. Gillysuit smashing his head into the floor. And we again see that thing from the last episode. However, unlike the others, Johnny is able to disconnect all on their own. And we also see the sheer number of players that make up the amalgam. And with their easy-to-assume migration to another server, this video ends. From my understanding, Serverblight is a mimic. A being that aims to assimilate players into its mass, to grow ever larger. We don't have a reason as to why it does what it does, but perhaps the Blight seeks to simply become more human, or to simply assimilate more players into its mass. Whatever the reason for what it does, this is proving to be quite interesting already. The next episode itself is over 10 minutes long, so let's not waste any time. Again, looking to the description, we get a more cryptic message. Stay safe when you play TF2. Malign things grow in the darkest of corners. How ominous. Moving on to the video itself, it opens far differently compared to most series dealing with horror subject matter. Starting with the fight between Red and Blue on an active server, we again meet the MC from the previous episodes, though this time he's accompanied by one of his friends. The two of them becoming a dynamic soldier-medic duo who get their own long drawn-out action sequence, which I did enjoy quite a bit. Though, while Medic and MC did a big part in their own right, the free-to-play heavy did far, far more, arguably. After their victory, practically everyone disconnects from the server. All save for Red's top 3, of course. The MC also finds out kill binding is a thing. Moving on, the trio are swapped to Blue Team. Hectoron complains about community servers being far too empty, when suddenly dozens of people join all at once. But one name stands out to us and the MC alike. Gillysuit. A name we should both recognize from the first and second episode. Obviously shaken, the MC says they have to leave. Of course, they can't. Even kill binding doesn't work. Hector may even save Dick from making a terrible mistake, as it seems self-terminating in any way besides going out of bounds results in you joining Serverblight's mass. While Dick is still shaken, Hector reassures him. The two of them did just crush the enemy team single-handedly after all, so what chance would some script kiddie have against them? Poor things. Arming up, Hector, Dick, and Scuba Master 96 head out, ready to take on whatever this script kiddie throws at them. Scuba Master disappears off to do his own little thing, while Dick and Hector push the payload. Things for a time move like this up until Hector catches a glimpse of a Red Scout. Dick says he shouldn't go after them, but that Uber charge is just too good to turn down. Hector successfully offs the Scout, and we find them to be the same one Dick took down in the very first episode, confirming again that you don't get out unless you go out of bounds and terminate yourself. Hector also seems to be acting a bit off. They move on after this, taking the next point, while off in the distance we hear weapons fire. Dick tells Hector to go and check on the heavy, though while he's away, Dick catches a glimpse of the Scout from before crawling on all floors. But before he does anything, Hector returns and proceeds to bring him to Heavy, who himself has been taken. It's here we get a glimpse of what the transformation looks like, and as you can imagine, it's very gruesome. You see a hand recede into his mouth before they give chase. Heavy's voice now distorted as they cry out for help, their fingers extending as he sprints at the duo. The MC in Hector's saving grace is a single call to kick Scuba Master, which, surprisingly enough, works, saving both of them. The two of them then continue to their ultimate goal of jumping out of bounds, while at the same time abandoning the payload. Soon after this, they encounter a demo man smashing their head against the wall. Wisely, the two decide to avoid this trick, but it's quite literally right after this, Dick falls right into one of their traps, as they encounter the engineer from the second video. Their leg horrifically extended into a room that's currently out of sight. Text in the chat from them reading, "Is this heaven? Why is it so cold?" The two of them stopping is exactly what Serverblight wanted. As the amalgam emerges from the room the engineer's leg was extending into, followed by the demo man from before, giving chase as well. That isn't all, as once they're in the clear, Dick speaks to Hector about what Serverblight's nature is. It's there we find Hector, likely since coming into contact with the Scout, had been infected himself. With outstretched arms, Hector, or Matt, begins to chase the MC, a hand slowly emerging from his mouth. Though, fortunately for Dick, he escaped. However, his friend and Scuba Master, along with everyone else who was still on that server, were taken. The video ending with 3 new players joining the game, and a now infected Serverblight smiling, as 3 new souls will likely be added to his party, to Serverblight's mass. One thing that really got me watching this a second time was we can already tell Matt or Hector had been infected since they'd come into contact with the Scout. The repetitive use of lines he'd already said prior not being entirely apparent to me until I recognized them. In the beginning, Serverblight was crudely using messages it saw and heard before to lure players in. However, in this video multiple times, we see it playing the part of Hector almost perfectly up until the very end, almost as if it's toying with Dick, allowing him to escape. I now understand Serverblight to be a hive mind, one that's becoming more and more intelligent at a rapid rate. The next video goes into more depth on what it means to be a part of this hive mind, so let's move on to that video. Puppet, unlike the other videos here, is a traditional audio-based creepypasta, but it more than does its job. I'll allow it to play in full here, so enjoy. I'll see you again when it's over.
I open my eyes. I don't remember falling asleep. It's dark. Quiet. I feel numb. I don't remember how I got here. I don't remember much. I was at home. Safe. What was I doing? There's a sound. Something shifts in the darkness surrounding me. I call out. The voice I hear doesn't belong to me. No one responds. The feeling gradually returns to my limbs. My body feels disoriented. I try to stand, but I'm stuck. Soft, immovable walls all around me. I call out again. How did I get here? I was at home, by myself. Another sound. The walls contort around me. Gravity inverts as I'm turned upside down. Something is pressing into my neck now. Feels like a hand. I try to move my arms. They aren't where they're supposed to be. My right hand is too far away. My left hand is on the wrong side of my body. What's happening? Another sound above me. A gurgling groan, like a person in pain. There's something very familiar about the voice. Am I laying under a pile of bodies? I call out to them, but my mouth won't make the right sounds. The hand pressing into my neck is starting to hurt as sensation returns to my body. Or is it my body? My legs feel too long, my shoulders too broad. Where am I? Everything jolts again. I'm moving now as my entire prison slowly crawls forwards, like a centipede lumbering on 100 legs. With every step, a sharp knee stabs into my abdomen, and I can feel cold breath on my left palm. Oh God, I'm freezing. The biting cold startles my returning senses enough to make me shiver. Where am I? Is this a pile of bodies, or a pile of corpses? Everything shudders. We hit the ground. I hear a dozen voices groan in pain. I'm one of them. Fingers dig into my neck. The world rearranges again. I'm lying on my side now. There's an opening in the wall in front of me. Light shines through. What is this? Through the tiny crack in the wall, I can see the distinct, photocopied textures of Team Fortress 2. I can see pastel blues and snow and stone. What's happening here? Another pained moan. I can see my surroundings now. All red cloth and taut skin. Arms and legs and torsos and faces, all bent and stretched and squirming. Growing fingers pierce the flesh on my neck. We're moving now, scuttling towards the tunnel in the center of the map. Something pulls us along, knitting together a dozen digital bodies to build itself up. I can feel its writhing influence all around my body, pulling my limbs apart, distorting my form. My arms are too long. My legs have too many joints. I'm being rebuilt according to some otherworldly blueprint. Our mass forces itself into the tunnel. I can make out someone standing at the other end. Another player. I remember. A spy. Helpless. Staring back at our mass. Something smiles behind my head, and all of our constituent parts start to scream for help. We barrel down the tunnel as I feel its fingers enter my body. They split, and 1,000 parasitic tendrils wrap around my mind. It wants me to go along with it, to move and scream like the others. I resist. Its smile widens behind my head. It savors my resistance. Then I feel 1,000,000 burning pixels sear my flesh, and I scream for it.
Puppet gives us insight on what it means to be a part of Serverblight's hive mind. I firmly believe this takes place from Matt, or Hector's perspective, as he's the only voice character we've seen thus far. Not only that, the narrator and he share the same voice actor. The horrific picture this video puts together is absolutely bleak. I had at the very least hoped the only thing this player would lose is their PC and Steam account when taken by the Blight, but it seems instead it takes you, your consciousness, your soul, dragging you into the game world where you're no more than a pawn to be used to drag even more people to your same fate. It delights in breaking you down, making you hurt, and perhaps that's its sole purpose, to make those it takes hurt, to delight and savor every distorted cry and pained groan. But we aren't done just yet. We're going to see firsthand what it's like to suffer through the Blight. So let's move on to our second to last video. Serverblight, Assimilation. Being the second longest video in the series, we have a decent chunk of footage to break down and examine. Though, as you should know, if you watch the series, this one does something much different compared to any of the other series we've seen thus far, blending live action and game footage, which is incredibly impressive. Going into the episode, I'd also like to say there are flashing lights that may come up. I'll give a second warning when and if they do, so pay attention. The beginning of this episode begins with classic TF2 CTF gameplay. One thing I love is how we move into Spy's perspective, in a way that's quite similar to Left 4 Dead's intro sequences. Though it doesn't stop there, as we fade into the real world where we meet our main character. The way they seamlessly drift between live action and TF2 gameplay is really impressive to me. And looking to the kill cam in the top corner, we find the main character's name to be Cyrenix. I'll refer to them as Psy from here on out. Psy dies once and returns to spawn, though notably no more blue players besides Psy himself leave spawn. A player from Red Team commenting on how strange it is. As Psy watches and waits for his chance to get a backstab on their medic, he notices a sniper behind him, ominously staring down at him, almost as if he sees the spy. As Spy steps out of the way, the sniper joins the rest of his team, Psy managing to get a backstab before sprinting away. Looking to his hands, he instead sees Spy's. In fact, as he speaks in the real world, his Spy's mouth movements sync with his. Commenting on how strange this all is, he returns to the point, only to be met with everyone on both teams staring at him. Their eyes glued to him every moment despite him being cloaked. The players then reveal they've been taken, repeating lines they'd said before. Behind Psy in the real world, a Heavy watching him ominously. It's then that everyone there begins to chase him. Sprinting through the map, I only realized then that this map has no out-of-bounds kill areas. So, Psy was doomed the moment he saw that sniper. You also see firsthand how it is to not be able to disconnect. And on top of this, it seems reality for Psy is blending more and more between the real world and the game. Continuing to run, he sees a figurative light at the end of the tunnel. The capture point. But as he begins to cap it, he finds it's blocked by an enemy. And hey, it's me again. I apologize for interrupting at such a pivotal moment. But the second epilepsy warning is right here. If you're photosensitive, please skip to the timestamp shown here. Get that? Alright, back to the video. It's then we see an elongated finger, one belonging to Scuba Master. In-game and in the real world, we watch as the Serverblight closes in all around him. Heavy's hands getting closer and closer to Psy in the real world until they and the players in the game are upon him. Their hands in game and Heavy's hands in the real world clawing at him, trying to get inside. And then it's over. Spy reaching out to join the party, while in the real world, he's gone. His soul likely bound to the game and his character. But that's not the end. We have one more video. One that's even more important than all the rest. And I'll allow it to play now.
Down, 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 down. What makes me a good demo man? If I were a bad demo man, I wouldn't be sitting here discussing it with you now, would I? Let's do it.
Okay, sorry. But that is the end of Serverblight as of now. It's short, effective, and a wonderful series. The Blight itself, from my understanding, is a being of malice, from beyond our world, or potentially even born from some kind of TF2 bot. Whatever it is, it seems to favor the form of Heavy, as we see it in the center of the Blight amalgam, and in the real world when it's stalking Psy. The use of animation and game footage, and in the end, live action footage, makes the series feel incredibly fresh and new. This is something I'd certainly love to see continued, and if the creators make anything else I feel is up my alley, I'll certainly strive to cover it in a future video. But back to the nature of the blight, it seems as if it only lives to infect others, to grow and inflict pain as we saw in Puppet. What its end goal is, I'm unsure, though I can assume it aims to eventually take over the whole of TF2. It may even aim to spread to different games altogether, if it can figure out how to do so. And if the creators of the series are by chance watching, I'd love to interview you on your creative processes and what inspired you to make this series, as I've been wanting to do things of that sort on my channel for quite a while now. If you also haven't noticed, on screen right now should be art from people on my Discord server, which you should join if you'd like to share your work, join in game and watch nights, or even just have a place to hang out. I'm Dregobob, hoping you're having a wonderful day or night wherever you are. Bye bye!